We're going to announce our 2018 construction program today. And if you have questions, could you please save them until the end? The order is going to be the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, the state patrol, and then Michael Bear from our Metro District will talk about the Metro program in general. So when he's done, then that would be the time to answer questions or ask questions. Any questions for me? Yeah, they have to wait until the end. Oh, yes. Commissioner?
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome everyone. Normally, we wait until spring for our construction kickoff, so I'm thrilled that you're here today, safe in our basement. Welcome to our new Training and Education Center. Actually, this is brand new room, and it's outfitted so we're able to live stream this event. So all those that are tuning in on the internet, welcome and thanks for joining us. So it's true, we're here to announce our state road construction program this year. We'll be working on 253 road and bridge projects worth $1.1 billion. In addition, there are 49 modal projects. That's kind of projects such as rail or ports, and that's an additional $32 million. So we talk about them as a series of projects, and as you can see, they're really all around the state and throughout the metro. But these are the critical investments for our transportation system. We're repaving roadways, we're repairing, painting bridges, we are working on culverts. Somebody just asked me what a culvert is. Okay, so that's off on the side of the road, kind of like a ditch. I'm probably getting that wrong, I'm not the engineer. But it is the entire system. We're rehabilitating some structures like the Stillwater Lift Bridge, which will be beautiful. We're also installing min-pass lanes as part of the 35W I-94 project in Minneapolis. That's going to really help manage congestion and give motorists choices in the years ahead. So this year's construction didn't just happen on a whim or in the past year. It's a result of years of planning. We have 20-year outlooks on our construction and rehabilitation programs. That is updated every 4 years. So we're guiding that in a number of ways. One is the enhanced public engagement process that we've been undertaking over the past few years. We really want to know what Minnesotans want and expect and truly need when we look at our entire traveling system. Obviously, we have to develop these plans within the forecasted levels of revenue, of funding that's available to us. One of the aspects that we look at most closely is the condition of our roadways, our bridges, our infrastructure. We look at it and we try to anticipate what the best timing is, when the best schedule can be the most efficient, both in terms of dollars and timing. So the state highway and bridge system is about 12,000 miles out of approximately 144,000 miles of roadways in the state of Minnesota. That may seem like a small number, but it is well over half of the traveling miles of vehicles. 5,000 bridges. We're the land of more than 10,000 bridges, but 5,000 of those are on our state system. It gets a lot of use, and so it needs steady attention in order to keep it in good working condition. So last year, Governor Dayton signed some legislation that provided something in the area of $200 million more every year for highway transportation. And so we've concluded that in our forecast and in today's announcement for this year's program. You know, we're working, as I mentioned, on a lot of uses. When you think about some of these pavements, some of these roadways, they haven't really been touched haven't been reconstructed in over 50 years. Many of these bridges are well over 40 years old. so their maintenance and preservation is due. The reason I mention that is so critical is because the legislature's actually focusing on some issues of transportation this year. And I just thought I'd mention a point of view that we have about one aspect. There's a bill, I think it's in the House, that has been progressing that actually requires MnDOT to focus on expansion, on additional lanes within the metro area at the expense of some of the focus we have toward preservation and rehabilitation of the system. It also asks us to de-emphasize our work on developing min-pass lanes. Just to touch a few points on min-pass lanes, our traffic models and our analysis shows how effective they have been in mitigating congestion and giving motorists choices and how fast they want to go on their own commute. We're able to have not just a transit advantage, but ways for carpools to travel into special lanes. Simple arithmetic is that min-pass lanes carry twice as many people as general purpose lanes. It is one of the bedrocks of our focus on efficiency and prudent investments for Minnesotans. Also, as we kind of head into our future years, sacrificing infrastructure condition for the sake of additional lanes is not a good strategy in our view. This is like adding an addition to your house while you let the roof continue to decay and start leaking into the rest of the structure. The costs, the investment needed for preservation in the years ahead is actually growing exponentially, and we just simply don't have the funding to cover it all. Why would we want to do more expansion, which we think might be very worthy, but how can we do it at the cost of preservation, and how can we do it when we don't have the funds to take care of even those additional lane miles? So obviously, I've talked at length over the past number of years about the need for long-term transportation funding. I believe there's a growing consensus that that's needed, and for that I find very, very gratifying. We know that in the next decade, under our current forecasts, we will not have any money for any additional expansion to solve congestion because of the needs of preservation are actually mounting. This is about physics, not ideology, and we know that solid facts and arithmetic need to guide our prudent decisions going forward. One of the issues as we look to the future is the changing nature of transportation. We've been working on automated and connected vehicle technology and how that would be embraced in Minnesota. We know that in some instances, just recently in other states, there's been some safety problems. We have not given carte blanche testing in our public roadways for autonomous vehicles. However, we know we need to study and think about it because we believe there's tremendous safety benefits. That's why the governor signed an executive order last month to set up an advisory council on automated and connected vehicles. That is a multi-agency group, but also embraces private sector and nonprofit sector expertise. So it truly will be a kind of a multi-jurisdictional advisory group to help guide our planning and thinking ahead how we can both test some technology in controlled environments, but also ensure that we're making smart decisions for the traveling public. We also have been thinking hard at MnDOT about how to engage with the public, where the public is in a more meaningful way. We're doing that around the entire state, but I want to just call out our Rethinking I-94 project as a good example. I-94 from St. Paul to Minneapolis is a system that needs to be completely reconstructed because it ultimately is I'm going to say falling apart. That's a non-engineering term. It is decaying. And we want to make sure that when we reconstruct it, it is something that people and communities will find valuable. So we are working with many community groups and stakeholders to make sure not only what people want, but what people need as we go forward. We will have a better plan in a way that will be meaningful for the communities I-94 serves, as well as those that are actually on the roadway itself. So it's an exciting time for transportation. We are really thrilled in Minnesota. We actually have a transportation system that supports one of the most vibrant economies in the country. And it goes without saying, this is one of the best places to live, work, and play. And we're thrilled that transportation is kind of one of the underlying foundations for all that's working well in Minnesota. I would just leave by saying that our commitment to efficiency, cost savings, and prudence is underlying every one of those ideas. So as we serve Minnesotans, we can actually do it in a way that's thoughtful in terms of being smart about our investments. So with that, I will turn it over to a true engineer, our chief engineer, Sue Mulvihill, who can actually bring true engineering terms to this conversation. Sue.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. I am Sue Mulvihill. I'm the Deputy Commissioner and Chief Engineer for the Department of Transportation. It's my pleasure to talk with you a little bit today about our upcoming 2018 construction program, and I appreciate all of you being here today. I first need to mention that, it's pretty obvious construction is not going to get going exactly this week. Many projects were scheduled to start, but they'll be backing up a little bit as we deal with the snow that we just had over the last couple of days. And I feel compelled to say that we need people to watch out for the snowplows out there as they continue to do their work, because they'll be out cleaning up and doing a lot of things that help us get the roads ready for the next potential snowstorm, which could come in Monday. But also that they just need room to work. So we appreciate it if you just give us some time to do that and let us do what we need to do. And we are ready, so just so you know. 2018 is going to be a large construction year. You can see some of the construction projects on the maps to my right here. Many projects across the state. And the transportation system that we use here, the Commissioner talked about, is very useful to everybody. It touches everybody every day, and it's a huge part of our economy. Not only does it support many people who work on the transportation system, but it supports all the folks that have freight, get to work, use the transit systems, and all of that to do their work here. And one of the things about that is that we need to have infrastructure that's safe and reliable for people, which is why we do a construction program every year, and we plan for it over 20 years. And so working on bridges, pavements, the safety appurtenances alongside the road like guardrail and cable median barrier that's in the medians that saves people from going across the freeway is really important, and that's what our construction folks do every summer. And they help us get those things ready and keep them in good shape. This year is going to be challenging, just like all construction years are. We have a short season. It's April 4th. I remember years when we were able to start doing actual construction work on April 1st. So with the weather that we've had and the spring that we've had, it's going to be a little bit even shorter. Maybe we'll get some late fall, but who knows? And there'll be some key roads under construction. I-35W from downtown to crosstown over south of Minneapolis. That's a big project. That'll be impacting people not only this season, but for a few seasons to come. We have a lot of work going on I-35 from here to the south towards Iowa, and also from the Twin Cities up to Duluth. So there's some major work going on one of our north-south corridors. We also have a large project on the Eisenhower Bridge in Red Wing, which is Highway 63. We're replacing that bridge this year. And so I know that there's several of our construction folks in the room today. We have excellent staff that works on the timing, the staging. They work with contractors to try and make sure that we manage all of those 253 projects, and I just mentioned 3 there, but to make that as effective as possible and try to eliminate or reduce the headaches that people have. Commissioner mentioned a long program to get construction projects in the queue, and we do evaluate a number of things when we're looking at construction projects and what work to do. We look at the age and the condition of the infrastructure, what does it need, what conditions is it in. We look at the crash and the safety history of the structure and of the roadways, and to try to determine where our most high priority needs are. We look at traffic volumes and other different things that are going on. We also coordinate, and I get this question quite often, do you ever talk to your local cities, counties, Minneapolis and St. Paul about their projects that they're working on? And the answer is yes. We do coordinate with our local partners as best we can to try and eliminate the parallel routes syndrome that you can have when construction is happening during the summer. The concern that we have is that their infrastructure is also 40, 50 years old, and they have a need to do some work on it as well. So I will tell you that we do coordinate with them. It's not always perfect, but we work hard to make sure that we're managing all the routes as well as we can. I want to thank our communications staff, not only in this building that set up this event here today so we could talk overall about construction for 2018, but all of our communications staff out in the districts in Minnesota, because they provide a lot of information for the public throughout the summer construction season. Questions, phone calls, they keep up the web information along with our construction folks, try to make sure that we have the best information out there that's available. And they engage a lot with our customers to make sure we're providing the right resources and information. I want to put a plug in for 511. I don't have my cell phone with me, but if you have a cell phone, and I know you all do, there's an app called 511. And I have it on my phone. I use it pretty much every day when I leave this building to figure out where I'm going and what route I want to use. But it provides real-time current road conditions, including construction, crashes, weather conditions. It shows you which routes are the best to take for you to get to where you're going. So I encourage all of you to help your customers and people who listen to you understand that 511 is a very useful tool, and it's really something that people should plug into before they go somewhere, because then they can eliminate some of the frustration maybe that they might have if they choose another route. I want to talk a little bit about bridge and maintenance, because we will have ongoing bridge work and maintenance work throughout the season, not just construction projects. Maintenance projects are usually a short-term duration. They're not out there for really long, but they are out there across the state. They'll be doing patching. So, we've heard a lot about potholes, and every spring is a pothole spring, so I've heard a lot about that. When the snow and the ice clears off, our crews will get back out and start patching potholes again. It's part of our spring ritual. They'll be out repairing guardrail and cable median. They'll be doing sweeping this spring, and striping and pavement markings and all kinds of different things out on the road. So please pay attention to them and give them room to work. And they are out there both day and night. We have crews that work 24/7 here all across the state, and especially in the metro area with night maintenance. I want to close a little bit with some work zone safety thoughts. We would truly appreciate everybody approaching all work zones with a lot of caution. We want people to reduce their speeds. The work zone speed limits are there for a reason. We have people working in those work zones, and we want both our contractors, folks, and our own personnel to be able to go home safe, not only ours, but counties and cities as well. We want you to put down your cell phone, pay attention to what's going on. There are a lot of things in a work zone that can be happening, so please pay attention to that. Watch for orange. We have cones. We have cones, we have barrels, we have vests and hats. We have trucks out there that are pretty big and pretty orange, and we want you to pay attention to that and make sure that you're being safe for yourself and for all the people that we have that are out there working, trying to make our system more reliable, and safer. Thank you for your time today, and I'm going to introduce Colonel Langer from the State Patrol, and we'll get going. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Langer with the State Patrol. I serve as the chief, and I just wanted to reiterate a couple things that have already been said, but the construction is not going to leave any part of the state untouched this summer, and so that means a lot of traffic congestion and other issues that come with construction that we all realize as we drive on our roads. Just a couple simple messages that we talk about all the time. When it comes to work zones, as you heard, we have people out there in those work zones on foot doing their job, focusing on their job while also in danger along the road. And so our simple message is we just want people to slow down and pay attention. That's as simple as it gets for work zones. Yes, there is an enforcement presence. The State Patrol will be out in some of those work zones more frequently in some areas than others, but vigilant all across the state. If we find a vehicle speeding in a work zone, people should know that fine costs $300. And so there's a pretty severe penalty that goes with that. The reason that penalty is severe is because it's so dangerous to be speeding in a work zone. So again, our simple message is to just pay attention, slow down, put the phone down, and get through that work zone as safely and efficiently as possible. The only other thing I'll add beyond that message is that the zipper merge really works. In Minnesota, maybe it's our Minnesota nice or our culture, we don't like to go all the way up and do the zipper merge, but I'm here to tell you that it really does work. It's the most efficient way to get through those work zones. And for that driver that is coming up alongside of you to do the zipper merge, just let that person go. Don't try to slow that person down or stop that person, because again, it's the most efficient way to get through these work zones. And there's some engineering science behind that works quite well. So with that, thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'm Michael Baer, the MnDOT Metro Construction Engineer. Thank you for the opportunity today to talk to you about projects we have going on in the metro area, where construction crews will be hard at work at over 70 projects this year. Long-term, that means better roads and bridges, reduced congestion, improved safety, and more transit opportunities and bike and pedestrian facilities. Short-term, that means detours, work zones, and difficult or sometimes different travel methods to get to and from your place of work or great destinations you may be traveling to in and around Minnesota. It also means dangerous work conditions for road crews who are building us a better system. I'll give you more details in a minute how there are opportunities to alleviate the frustration as you're traveling around, but let me start with a few projects that we have going on in the metro area this year. I'm just going to mention 4 of the 70 projects we have. So the first one I'd like to talk about is Highway 169, southwestern metro in the Belle Plaine and Jordan area. This project will place new concrete pavement over the existing pavement structure that was placed 63 years ago in 1955. This work is on Highway 169, just south of Highway 282, and just north of Highway 19 in Blakely Township. Crews will also be building a reduced conflict intersection at Delaware Avenue and install median cable barrier throughout the length to improve safety. Single-lane head-to-head traffic along with closure access closures will begin in May and last through fall of 2018. We combined what would have been 2 separate 2 years' worth of construction throughout this work zone into a 1-year single project to help minimize impact to the businesses, residents, and the travelers through the area. Access to businesses and homes will remain open throughout the length of this project, as will access to Highway 25 in Belle Plaine. To the north, work continues on Highway 169 in Champlin. This is work that the City of Champlin and MnDOT began in 2017 to replace 2 aging Elm Creek bridges, realign Highway 169 just south of the Mississippi River, and realign and close some nearby roadways. We're also repairing, resurfacing, and making safety improvements to Highway 169 between East Hayden Lake and Highway 610. While we're working both of these sections of Highway 169 at the same time to lessen the amount of times that motorists, residents, and businesses will be inconvenienced, and if the weather gives us a break, single-lane head-to-head construction will begin on Monday, April 23rd in the Champlin area. We expect to complete work and fully open that road by mid-September of this year, giving motorists a safer, reduced congestion, and smoother riding roadway, and increase better accessibility for pedestrians. Next project I'd like to talk about is Interstate 35 in the North Metro. This year on I-35 near Forest Lake, we'll begin resurfacing pavement from Highway 97 to Highway 8. The original pavement in that area was put down 49 years ago in 1969. We'll be resurfacing the north half of this project this year and the southern limits of the project south of Highway 35 to Highway 8 next year. There'll be periodic lane closures and traffic shifts in both directions of I-35W between Highway 97 and Highway 8 starting April 9th and going through April 14th. After April 14th, I-35 northbound will be reduced to 2 lanes between Highway 97 and Highway 8, and that will continue through August of 2018. Southbound I-35 will remain open to 3 lanes during that time. One of the highlighted features of this two-year project is the construction of a diverging diamond interchange, which is replacing the old Highway 97 bridge over I-35W. This will improve safety for motorists in this popular area that leads many people on their travels to their lake up north. Last but not least is our I-35W at 94 project in the Minneapolis area. The original underlying pavement on this project was placed 52 years ago in 1964, and as users note, recent blacktop overlays began to experience potholes in just a couple of years due to the age and condition of the underlying pavement. So we're doing some much-needed work to reconstruct this old interstate pavement, and that work will continue through 2021. So during those 4 years of construction, we're rebuilding roads and bridges, fixing and adding ramps, constructing a transit station at Lake Street, and making improvements for walkers and bikers. We started work on this multi-year project last fall, but this season it really kicks into high gear. We've already started work with the closure of Franklin Avenue and the 38th Street bridges and the 36th Street on-ramp to southbound 35W. I'm going to give you a handful of details here on work coming up this year. But before I get into those details, let me tell you that we've got a handout that lists all the expected construction closures this year, and you can also find that information on the project website. The big changes on this project come in June, where 5 lanes that exist currently both northbound and southbound will be reduced to 3 lanes northbound and 2 lanes southbound. We also anticipate the following closures beginning in June. Access from I-35W to 5th Avenue South and East Grand Street into downtown Minneapolis. Also closed will be northbound I-35W ramp to westbound I-94 ramp, eastbound I-94 to the southbound I-35W ramp, and then some additional local ramps to and from I-35W and 94 and a few pedestrian bridges. This will be quite a 4-year construction journey. Like embarking on any journey, plan ahead and review the options to get to your destination. Our great partners at Met Transit are running additional buses. We are restriping Portland and Park to allow for continued transit advantage for this work that starts in June. Other options for your journey, we have contracted with Move Minneapolis to connect people to alternatives. We are also working with eWorkplace, which helps employers assist staff with telecommuting options. I-35W will be congested. Consider alternate routes, carpooling, or alternatives to driving, such as buses, trains, walking, biking, or working from home. We know this year will be a challenging year for people driving in and through the area. The good news is that we have dedicated crews working hard to preserve and improve the aging infrastructure, and we're still moving people and goods. We're aware that construction cuts into your time and tries your patience. So we have some tools that will help you along this journey. Before you hit the road, use 511. You can check the website for information or personalize your route by setting up an account. If you provide your phone number when you call the 911 system, we will provide information about your particular route. In addition to the website, there's a handy app for audible reports. It gives drivers the congestion work, incidents, crashes within 20-30 mile radius of where you'll be driving. If you prefer email, go to www.mndot.gov and subscribe to alerts for construction projects of interest to you or in the areas you'll be driving. The weekend traffic impact maps that we've been putting out the past couple of years is a much-demand feature that we provide every Thursday or early Friday morning to keep people up to date on construction and maintenance projects that may affect your weekend plans. And this year, we will have a number of weekend freeway closures around the Minneapolis area. Definitely something you want to check out. More detailed background information about projects, including nearby projects on highways and background information for businesses and trucking companies, is available on our MnDOT website. If you want to leave the driving to someone else, check out transit alternatives in your area. Carpool with neighbors or coworkers is another great option. Above all, we want to thank you for your patience and safe driving through our work zones. We're all in this together. Everyone wants to be safe, and everyone wants to go home at night to their family and friends. Thank you. With that, we can open up to any questions. Myself or the Commissioner or Deputy Commissioner will try and
Clarify.
Answer.
At the end there, you said 911, you meant 5.
thank you.
You can call 911, but you can call 511.
Definitely call 511 for information.
Michael, as long as you're up there, let's start with you. In
Sure.
terms of the 35W downtown 94 project rebuild, say it's a 3-year project. The lane closures will start in June. 5 lanes, both north and southbound. The northbound will be reduced to 3, the southbound to 2. That's going, I mean, in terms of what it means to commuters, such a heavily traveled area, that's gonna be a nightmare. I mean, there's no way around it. That's gonna be a nightmare.
That's right, and there's a lot of capacity we're reducing. We're limited right-of-way with the infrastructure, houses, et cetera, that are on each side of the roadway, and we have to have room for the contractor to do their work. So we recognize it. That's why we're doing many of the things. We're partnering with the transit and other opportunities to provide additional transportation means through the area with reduced vehicles. Highway 100 was reconstructed over the last couple of years to provide additional throughput on that. I-394 will have some restriping done to try and allow additional capacity heading out of Minneapolis in that direction to detour to various routes over there.
So good alternatives to get around that area down to Crosstown.
That's right.
In terms of the design of that initially, it was never designed to handle the volume that it's taking currently. What will motorists see when this whole project is done in terms of an ease of getting through that spot of downtown? What are the main objectives of that whole rebuild?
So the main objective is to replace the aging infrastructure with the bridges and pavements there. We will do some improvements to the Min-Pass lane to extend that into downtown. We have transit facility at Lake Street, so that will also be a big improvement. Connecting the Orange Line and access there, so I don't know how I'm familiar with that, but there'll be access essentially through the median of 35W down into a big transit facility below the freeway on Lake Street.
And this starts, will this be the worst year of it in terms of the reduction, the narrowing of the thoroughfare?
This is the first of the worst year, unfortunately. It will continue on through the next 3 to 4 years. It's as one section is rebuilt and we move traffic over there, and really we maintain similar capacity, because then that frees up the old pavement to reconstruct as well.
One last question, if I may. I've noticed a lot of times the northbound 35 to westbound 94 is just a 1-lane bridge. Any redesign of that, the ramp to take all that traffic westbound 94?
It's still, confirm with Steve here, it's still a single-lane bridge, correct? Still a single-lane bridge, but now it will come in.
Come in from the left in
From-
the
yep.
flow.
When the bridge merges in with 94, it'll come in on the left where we identified most traffic wants to continue on. They don't want to exit right away, so it will help with some of the congestion we get from traffic merging there. Other questions for me or for the group?
Just to clarify what you're talking about with that ramp 35 to West 94, so you have kind of a new configuration that you're putting into place for drivers that you're hoping will improve the traffic flow there? That's what you're doing with that ramp?
Correct. Right now, the ramp flies over,
Right.
yep, comes into the right, and there's a lot of merging that takes place. It's at least a half-mile long merge lane, but everyone wants to merge as soon as they get on that ramp, whether they're getting on it or off of it. So by bringing it in on the left, that will help that cross congestion with traffic that also wants to take that exit just down the roadway.
Does the weather that we're having really slow you down much, or will you be able to make up the delay in all these projects, not just the 35
We plan on making up the delay. It certainly every day we have helps. If you get 100 days versus 90 days, contractors have to work more overtime and squeeze the work into it. It's, our contractors and our construction crews are aware you never know what you're gonna get. Some years you get a great March and the ground is thawed by the middle of March and you're moving right along. Other years you get years like this and they just adjust accordingly. I guess it's hard to plan exactly what the weather's gonna do, but right now we don't foresee it impacting the completion of the projects we wanna complete this year.
Hope for a nice fall, right?
Yes. We've been blessed with those so far.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Anybody else? All right, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you.